Three, two, one, and we're live. And welcome everybody to the fifth episode. Now it's the fifth week in for doing the Sebcast. Today, for my guest, I have Andy Diep-Nguyen. I'll let you introduce yourself, Andy.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy. I went to high school with Seb. I'm a broke graduate. Yeah, that's about it.
Yes, yeah, we've known each other also for a very long time, and we're both broke graduates.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And on the topic of being broke, I wanted to talk to you today about mostly about how it's going to be another episode based on finance. If you guys aren't into that, just go ahead. We'll come back for the next podcast, but this time it's still going to be on finance. We're going to take a deeper in-depth look on two broke graduates' financial hygiene. So the one thing that you mentioned recently on our phone call last week was that you mentioned that you had a lot of your current net worth is in Tesla stock, and that really piqued my interest, and I wanted to ask you why. Obviously Tesla has gone up over 600% this year. It's now a over $600 billion market cap company. It is one of the top. It should be, I think, in my opinion, one of the FANG stocks. You know what I mean? But for me to hear that you've invested, was it 70% of your portfolio into Tesla?
I think so. Yeah, 70.
Yes. I wanted to ask why, and why did you put so much of your net worth in there? And I guess how strong is your conviction?
Yeah. So basically, I know Tesla was kind of when I was growing up, kind of the new thing. So everyone was kind of oh, if we can do a more eco-sustainable method of transportation instead of using gas, using electric cars, that was going to be the next big thing. So I kind of decided to go with Tesla because a lot of people were talking about it. It was kind of the hype. And pretty much I really think they're going to change the world with not only their cars, but their batteries is going to be big in their investments. And also just Elon Musk, his ingenuity and how he manages a business and just is really human-like. People can compare to him, his awkwardness, his basically his awkwardness, and he's oh, it's just another human being. So we're investing in that. So yeah.
So then I think it's the amount of recognition they're getting now this year has been really, really big. I think especially not just in their batteries and their vehicles, but also the autonomy portion, I think has really got people excited. I'm not sure if you're keeping up with how FSD beta is going, their full self-driving beta. Have you seen any of the clips that people have been putting out?
No, I haven't yet.
It's really impressive. I think it seems the future is not so distant when you see someone go into their car, type in their address, and then just their hands free the whole time. It'll take you from point A to B, and they will do all the left turns. They'll watch out for all the incoming cars, make all the stop sign stops, you know what I mean, and dodge deers and stuff. People have footage of their cell phone and recording their car dodging animals and people and pedestrians on the road, with this new full self-driving beta.
So basically auto navigation, but you don't even need a driver's license. A kid can go in and basically input their home address and it'll take it home?
Correct.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and they're going to probably start rolling this out next year, although, some people are saying that Elon runs on Elon time, which means, he'll say things and they might not happen for, when he says they'll happen. But I think their track record has been much better recently within the last couple of years. I think after their Model 3 ramp, they learned a lot. That was when they almost were going to be bankrupt back in 2017.
Exactly.
But yeah, the reason why that's interesting though, which is why I think Tesla has much bigger runway than just their batteries and cars, Andy, is that with their autonomy piece, right? They can technically, have Tesla owners just send their cars out, and they'll just be completely autonomous, and then do be a part of something called a robo taxi network. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh, no, but I think I get it.
Yes. Yeah, so it's exactly what it sounds like. So once these cars are like, they've registered, they're regulated. The government gives it the okay, and they pass through regulations, and they are now able to be on the roads completely autonomously. People can now do ride hailing, right? Instead of doing Uber and Lyft, they just open up a Tesla app and then go ahead and book a ride. The advantages of this are it ends up being much, much cheaper than an Uber or a Lyft, right? It's completely autonomous, and it lets the owners make more money. The promise is that if you own a Tesla, that you could make potentially up to $30,000 a year just by letting your Tesla do its thing.
Wow.
Yeah. But overall, as like how much this is worth, like as a market, ARK Invest, these are people who have been like really excited about Tesla since like way back when. You know what I mean? Like they're like Tesla's first cheerleaders, saying Tesla stock's going to hit $7,000 pre-split. So that's like 1,500 now, or like 1,400 now.
Exactly. Yep.
They're the ones that are doing the research and saying that the robotaxi network is actually like a $2 trillion valuation, and right now there is no stake. Nobody has any cut of that pie right now.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put more money in.
But yeah, I mean, we're definitely we're gonna mention this as well. Like we said before, Andy and I are, neither of us are financial financial advisors. So this is not investing advice. We're just two broke college kids just talking about things
Just
that
two broke
interest us.
college kids.
Yes. Well, post grad kids. It's
Post grad kids.
Well, actually, wait. Did you well, we'll talk about that later as well, a different time. But anyways, but yeah, so 600 billion now suddenly sounds like it could be on sale. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if we know that if they implement robotaxi, a robotaxi network into into Tesla, that will eventually be a multi-trillion-dollar thing. Not to mention, like you said, the vehicles and the batteries and the growth. So do you have, if you know that it's going to grow this much, do you have plans to sell your Tesla stock?
So the big thing with like, if I know like it has a really high growth potential, and if I sell it, obviously in any of like my investment vehicles, I would be taking like a tax loss, because I'm obviously profiting from it. So I wouldn't say I'm gonna sell it anytime soon, because I'm not in the need of like current like liquid cash right now. So if anything, I'd probably just buy and hold more.
Yeah. I think a lot of the people who especially invest into Tesla, like that's the mentality of all the retail investors. Like you and me, we're retail investors. Like we're all just here to buy and hold. And I think that's driving a lot of like the Wall Street investors like a little crazy, because people are kind of like, they're trying to short Tesla, or they're trying to short Tesla.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, make money. And here we are buying and holding like crazy. And we've driven the price up to like over almost $700, like during at the peak of the S&P 500 inclusion. Like that's insane. And I think it's a new era, I think, for investors like us, so small time investors.
100%, I agree with that. New millennials are getting in the market. They have a lot of money because they're not going out anymore. They're not buying as much food. They're cooking at home. So they want to see, where can I store that money instead of like a bank account that'll give you like an interest rate of, God, 0.04% or something, where like Tesla within the last year has risen. Oh, let me just look right now. Tesla, just within the last year, has risen 670%.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the with storing money, I did mention to you last week as well. As a place to store money, I've been looking into putting into Bitcoin. So I'm not sure how I guess how much you follow the cryptocurrency space. But how much do you know about Bitcoin and what it is?
So I actually like after a conversation, I kind of like Googled it more a little and kind of try to understand like Bitcoin mining, how it's kind of like converted from other currencies, how it's different, advantages, disadvantages.
Hmm.
So I would like to say I know the basics, and I wouldn't know too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know that much about the blockchain and how it works either.
Yeah.
I just know, but what I do know is that it does seem to be something that might be bigger than just digital gold 2.0 or like gold 2.0. Just
Hmm.
that, the fact that the cryptography that's built into the, as a cryptocurrency, it makes it much safer, as in like it's not a trust based system. There is no trust in the system, which is why there's several decentralized places where ledgers are being kept. So everybody kind of has their own record of what's going on, and if anything is showing a discrepancy, we have six other people that are like six other ledgers that could prove that one of them is wrong.
Right.
But
Right.
that's just a rough example. But did if I noticed today as well, like it peaked again. It just broke $26,000
Yep.
for
I see
Bitcoin,
it.
another all time high. And generally, I think when I see all these stocks on a tear and we're getting like more stimulus money, it makes Bitcoin a much more attractive thing to put my money in. Um, so I think as far as the government's going, I think are we set to get another $600? I'm not sure what's going on, or is it a Trump wants 2,000?
Yeah, I think they're still kind of like settling it. Like they proposed a bill for 600, and then like, oh, everyone thought he was gonna sign it, but I think, yep, he like, oh, he's like requesting more, so nothing is finalized yet.
Yes. Okay. Well, say we did get that money, whether it be 600 or 2,000. What are you gonna do with it?
Because it's like the start of the new year, I would probably put it into my Roth IRA.
Mm,
Like,
to front
yeah,
load
like,
it.
maximize that, collect some tax-free earnings after I retire, and yeah, I just want to like get that going right away, and because yeah, I would probably do that. I don't think I need it right away, so I'd
Yeah.
probably put it away.
Yeah, I think, yeah, a lot of people during these times, these uncertain times, investing is the go-to choice with the money that they're getting. And I also recently discovered this law that, or this new law that Trump actually ended up passing during the COVID relief bill back in March. They actually signed into law that if you need money from your 401k account right now, you can pull it out without a 10% penalty.
Wow,
Yes.
really?
And if you wanted to pull this money out, all you have to do is just call them up, whoever is servicing you, say, hey, I have like this reason to pay for my, because of this reason, I need this money soon. So, can I pull this out? And they'll let you pull out a maximum of $50,000 at a time. With no 10% penalty, because usually if you and me, because we're not like by the age over the age of 59, if we wanted to pull out money from a 401k, we would have to either loan it out to ourselves or pay 10% penalty and like 27% tax on it.
That sucks.
Yeah. So then, with that tax as well, what he also signed into law was that if we can't pay that tax now, we can actually forbear it for 3 years from now, up to 3 years from now.
Okay.
So you could technically pull out all the money today without any, consequence in the near term.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I saw you can also pull that money without penalty if um it was if you're buying a house or
Mhm.
like apartment or whatever you're buying, you can do that. And also I think there was something else. But yeah, that's awesome. No, we can take tax advantage of that.
Yes. The what's made it attractive for me is I don't have a lot in there. I have like $3,000 maybe. But what's made it attractive is I can take that money and then put it into my own personal investments, because I can't choose within my 401k account what specifically I want to invest. It's just a whole bunch of like ETFs that are recommended. And
Right.
yeah, that
Hmm.
doesn't sound great for me. So I'm actually really considering this right now, especially given the fact that we only have until the end of this year to do it, which is like 4 days from now, 5 days from now.
Yeah, so you gotta do like literally on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Yeah, I gotta call them on Monday, and I heard it's pretty quick. I know one of our mutual friends, they're actually considering, like, they've actually already pulled out $50,000 from their 401k to
Holy
invest on their own.
crap.
Yeah, and to do what we're doing, put it into high growth stocks, and they believe that if they invest in themselves, they'll make a much better return than a Vanguard, VOO, or like a total market index could in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because you obviously don't get taxed on it if we can do that, and then
Hmm.
you also get to grow it. So it's like a double win.
Yeah, so
Good to
I'm really
know.
interested in doing this because then, yeah, I get a few extra $1,000 to invest on my own, and I'm pretty sure I can turn. I'm confident now because the market is high. I could be very wrong, and I could like, but at the same time, Andy, we're two kids, like, just still early in our careers. $3,000 is not that much, in the long
Right.
term, but the potential upside, I think, if we take the risk, could be very big. Much bigger than it would if it was just sitting there until I'm 59.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure if you knew that, but something to consider. I think if you want to do it, you only have a week left. Um,
Great idea. Yeah, I'll take a look into it.
yeah. But I guess the next question is, I also want that we also kind of touched on, and I want to bring up in this podcast is, you want to make a lot of money, you want to put all this money into growth stocks, and you want to make sure you build yourself enough wealth. But the question is, why? Why do you want to accumulate so much money?
Yeah, absolutely. So, pretty much like after I graduated college in 2018, I was just kind of like, I left my previous job over as like a technician, and I went to Asia, right? So when I went to Asia, I went to Japan, Taiwan, and Korea, and it was about 1 week in Taiwan, 10 days in Korea, and like 20 days in Japan. And there was just like a lot of the world to see. I learned, I think, a lot. Um, just not about like the countries, but a lot about myself, a lot about my culture, and kind of what I want in life, and kind of like what things motivate me. So pretty much when I got back, I knew right away I wanted to like invest in myself. I knew right away because I wouldn't even call myself like financially savvy or like, I would just say financially savvy, but I'm a lot better than where I was when I guess, graduated college. Because after that, um, I was I was a broke college student, and I was kind of, you get worried, you get like kind of anxious, like, okay, like I don't have any jobs lined up for me right now after college. I don't know what to do with my life, stuff like that. So I really started um getting like studying the stock market, kind of what stocks are, investing, real estate, and just pretty much um, just a lot of finance and the value of money. So when I did that, I let's see. When I did that, it's just made me realize, you can you just need to have a plan, because my biggest goal is I want to retire at 40, and I just want to like do what which I guess you'd call coast fire. So I guess it's not retiring, but it's like part retiring slash you might pick up a side job that you're passionate about, or you might pick up a side income that you could do and leave your main job. And that's kind of where I kind of started getting really into investing and how much money I need to coast fire, retire, and yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I hear you, and I'm very much on the same vein. I think what got me so pumped to do this podcast episode with you as well was that you and I, we haven't been, keeping in touch, at least since I moved or over the last, actually the majority of this year even. So
Yeah.
when every time, we reconnect and like, we meet up, you and me, or you and me and Kevin, I always find that like we're all doing like similar things, but we're all like not keeping in touch. I'm not sure if you keep in touch with Kevin, but like
Yeah.
we're all doing the same thing, but like, how are we all on the same page, even though none
We're
of us are talking to each other?
yeah, we're not sharing resources or not connecting, networking, improving like each other when we could.
Right. And yes,
Yeah.
and hopefully I think I want this to change in the future, but it's just, I just thought it was so amazing that like, you and me, like, and I haven't talked to Kevin, but I'll reach out to him soon, and hopefully I'll want to see where he's at.
Yeah.
But you and me, we're both, heavily invested into Tesla. We both want to do financial, reach, achieve financial independence. And like, although we have this similar mindset, we're not sharing information, but it's just astonishing to me how we're both on that same track, because after college, I was able to find a job, albeit not in the field that I wanted to be or where I went to school for. But
Yep.
when I showed up, I don't know if you've seen the movie Office Space, or is it Office
No,
Space?
I don't think so.
But it's a movie where basically it's just like the guy is with the cup and the boss is there, and he's like, so
Like
I'm
in
gonna
the
need you to
suit.
stay after work.
Sorry, he's
I love
he's had a
Tommy
few
D.
beers.
And yeah, like it's like we show up, and my first experience out of college was exactly the same. I walked into this place. It was I'm not gonna name where I worked, but it was it was literally like Office Space, and I just showed up. Although they didn't make me stay after anything, I did not want to be there. Like my first day, I showed up. I was just like, okay. My first 15 minutes, I realized I need to figure out how I'm gonna get out of here. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
I'm here. I was grateful to be making some money. 16.50 an hour. That was great at the time, because I think minimum wage was still like 7.25.
Yeah.
Even though people were probably paying realistically like 11 to 12, 13 on average. But even then, it was not like, I'm still like over a year. That's like only $32,000.
Right.
So, but that being said, I was just like, dude, I need to get out. Like, and I started like spending all my free time at work, like trying to figure out how to do this financial independence thing. And that kind of got me, it started into investing, because I was like, okay, I have a little bit of money. I don't have a lot, but maybe I could put away like a couple $1,000s at a time and try to grow it into something where I don't have to work at this job I don't want to be at, if I don't want to.
That's yeah, exactly. Like I think what most people value with money is options. So like the option that I don't have to go to work anymore, or I don't, like I guess it's also financial security. So like I can have the option to drop everything. I have the option to buy a cabin with 2 jet skis. I have the option of buying the car I want. So yeah, I think just the value of having that ability and that option of money, where you don't have to be at somewhere where you're not passionate about, just like you said at your job, where like, what am I even doing here? Like what, like you're watching the time, when do I get to go home? So just having the option of dropping it and pursuing what you're passionate about and what you're motivated to do. Yeah, I think that's kind of what drove me too.
Yeah. And a lot of people have many different answers for this problem. In order to find options, some people say, maybe you should, it's not work to live, but like live to work, or like you should do ikigai and like, learn to love your work, and stuff like that. But it's just, I think for you and me, financial independence feels like it's a more attractive answer, I think, because it gives us something to work towards. But the 40 years old, you and we're like roughly 24, 25.
Yeah.
Right? And 40 years old is like only 15 years away. That's going to come up really quick. So why 40 years old? Is that like, is there a specific reason why you wanted to, I guess, be financially independent by that age or retire at that age?
Yeah, absolutely. So just at 40 years old, I think I'm kind of like, obviously I don't know where I'm going to be at 40 years old, but I feel like at that age, I'm like young enough where I can like still go travel, still kind of like do the things I love without any like any pain in my body or just of old age. So that age was just kind of like an arbitrary, and obviously like it's not a hard stop at 40. Like if I get it, I'm gonna drop everything. If I don't, I'm gonna drop everything. It's obviously gonna be reevaluated over years, but it's kind of like it's kind of like the impossible goal. Because like whenever I tell everyone like, oh, I want to retire at 40, they're like, are you crazy? Like that's really soon. Like, are you? Their mind goes crazy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And it really comes down to a lot of planning. So it really means like, okay, so I'm 24 now. Yeah, I'm 24 now. And that means 16 years. So how much do I have to have in investments or as a nest egg in 16 years so that I can retire early? And you're obviously assuming your investments, which goes is your stocks, bonds, REITs, cryptocurrency, index funds, whatever you have invested, like gives you like a constant rate of return. So if you have the knowledge of like how much you need, you can know how much you need to put away each year based on your salary and then your assets minus deductions and pretty much all your expenses. So once everything's calculated, you just have to do it. So it's a lot of it's like just planning. And if I can plan for them possible early, I maybe even like may be able to retire earlier, it depending on where my life situation is at then. But yeah, just that's kind of really arbitrary value of my age 40, but it's really it's hard and kind of impossible, but you just got to have a plan.
Yeah. So, I think it's definitely very possible. And as far as the old age thing, hear me out, but this might sound a little crazy, but I think that we, like in this generation, might be lucky enough to be the generation that ends up living forever or a really long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So with are you aware of the other companies that Elon Musk is involved in?
I am not, no.
So he's also, he also founded SpaceX with, he didn't find
Oh,
all
yep.
these companies by himself, by the way. They're obviously, he's not a one man band. He has, people working with him, but he is, the most notable person because he's in every picture, it seems. But SpaceX, right? He wants to, get us to Mars. That's his mission there. Tesla, of course. We want to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. But then there's also Boring Company and Neuralink. Now,
Oh,
Neuralink is really interesting to me because I think he's trying to solve like a lot of the some health problems with putting a small computer chip in your brain. They've already gotten a working prototype that
oh,
they were able to put into pigs, and they're able to at least um, read like what the snout's picking up from this pig, right? They expoed it virtually this year, and the reason why that's interesting is potentially this technology is able to not only just read what your brain is sensing, like it's like a if you've ever seen a person's brain gets analyzed with is it EKG or not, like their brain waves with like the whole bunch of
yeah,
things on their heads. Yeah,
yep.
imagine something similar to that where they're able to not only read but also write information and data. Okay,
Jeez,
and that's
okay.
just level one, because I think what potentially he has planned for this Neuralink project, it's like a small button that just goes into your head. By the way, if you've seen like Black Mirror, like
Yeah,
the
I
episode where he
did
could like read his memories, it's like about that
rewind.
big. It's like that kind of a button on the side of your head. Um, but you can eventually, though, I think what he has planned is to be able to help merge AI and humans.
Oh, jeez,
Yes.
that's a stretch. Yeah.
That's exactly what he's trying to do. I think because he is aware of what the future of AI is. It's very uncertain, and he wants to make it stable enough for it to be like or at least increase the probability where humans will survive, humanity will survive, right? And that the only way is through symbiosis and because like the artificial which singularity or we have to reach singularity in order to ensure the survival of humanity. And that's kind of crazy to me, but where the immortality portion of it is, I think recently, I think I follow ARK Invest really deeply because they're the ones that are all about disruptive innovation, and these like the ones that disrupt are the ones that are the companies that will make it big within the next 10 years or longer. But another one of their funds is called a genomic fund. They call it ARK-G, where they're interested in companies that can do a lot of gene editing, or potentially with like the CRISPR. I'm not sure what the full name for it is, but the CRISPR gene editing system, people can now like try to edit out pediatric blindness, diabetes, cancer. Like they could sequence your genome and find the genes that are malfunctioning, and then edit them via the CRISPR gene editing thing. So it could solve a whole bunch of like diseases in humans, very easily. Excuse me. They're running human trials now, but the market value wise, it's at $5 billion. But with ARK Invest is saying that potential for them is like trillions. And if you combine that and the time horizon, I think for ARK Invest is like the next 10 to 15 years. But you combine that with Neuralink, I definitely do think that by the time we are like 40, 50, 60, like I think we potentially might have the technology in order to help us live beyond like 80, 90, 100. And if we can live that long, I don't doubt that we might have the ability to see the singularity happen or be a part of it, and then potentially live forever at that point.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, unless we get into like World War 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then maybe that never happens. But if I'm being an optimist, it does seem like that we are like living during the best time. I think, and
it's definitely an age of like innovation, like compared to like these past 20 years versus from like 1980 to 2000. We're really in like the age of like technology innovation, and just like we've developed so much within like X amount of years, and it's I could see it. Like I could see like all this innovation, and like especially like all these investments in the companies and kind of what consumers want. So we are living in a great age.
Yeah. It's just really baffling. I think the fact that also I want to backtrack a little bit though. We'll go back to finance. That was a whole different tangent, but yeah, dude, I think we can live forever. I think we have a chance.
Would you want to live forever?
I think it's a different experience at that point, because if we merge with computers, I don't think it'll be the same forever as we know it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's like when you see like the cliches is like the people who do live forever, they watch everybody around them die.
Yeah.
But in the singularity, we're all technically a computer at that point, and then we get everybody lives on with us. Like that's a different experience, And then, but I don't know. Would you?
I don't know. I think you kind of have your. I guess I'm stuck in that. You got your golden years, and obviously your bodily functions start decaying, your mind starts getting warped, and everything bad happens, and so I'm obviously gonna try to like live as long as I can, healthily, happily, but I don't know. I don't think I want to live forever.
Yeah, I mean, if it's there, maybe, like I won't refuse it outright. I'll take my time and consider.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, let's backtrack to finance though. Like I said, I think what I was saying before was I think it's really interesting. You know, we're on the same vein, even though we're not talking to each other a lot, and I think there's a lot more people though that are like you and me, Andy, that are like, you know, post grads, you know, kind of figuring their way out through life, and then everybody is riding this finance train, whether it be financial independence or just trying to get rich quick, you know, something. I think the self-sustaining entrepreneurial vibe is like, or the spirit is really present in our generation. I'm not sure. Well, that's what I think. It might just be unique to you, me, and maybe a small niche of our demographic, or like of our generation. But I think that, you know, the fact that we were able to be so close, following each other so closely on this, is that there may be a lot more people like us. So what I want to do is I want to ask you is, if you were to start this over again and say you just graduated high school, you're not going to go to college, like you don't know if you're going to go to college, but you're at a high school, would you do anything a little differently, or would you just do everything you did? And if you did
I
do,
love this question. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I cut you
no,
off
that
there.
was pretty much like my question. Like, you know, in this day and age, if you had to backtrack and you're 18 years old now, right? Knowing everything you know now, from your whole entire college experience, would you do the same thing over?
Yeah. So basically, if I was, if I just graduated high school, I think I'd actually join the military. I think there is a lot of benefits to joining the military, and being able to serve your country is awesome. And so, because just I never really like I never really understood the value of education until I didn't have it until after graduating college. Because like when I kind of like ended college, you know, my mind was like, it was wanting stimulation. My mind wanted to learn something, wanted to like dive into like topics that were like interesting to me. So I did exactly that. So like college was good in the sense that it taught you a lot of like basics, fundamentals, and stuff like that. And I guess it did teach me a little about my career field and how to like apply certain aspects of it into the job where you want to go. But I feel like you learn a lot more just at the job specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and you can learn there. So I would have joined the military, and then I would probably gone to college after that and probably get a VA loan and just really invest in myself, like get a house, maybe a townhouse, start house hacking, and investing like financially and early, and just building from there. But I say that just kind of like with, that's like, you know, the best case scenario, perfect case scenario of like taking advantage of everything I can with my age and my time. But I obviously don't regret anything I went through, going through community college, then transferring to university, and then just like, because that, just going through that pathway kind of really taught me, like I was like not, I was in a really dark spot after I like graduated college. Like I kind of left, I kind of burned bridges with my job um during my senior year of college, and like it's not like burned bridges, but it was like it'd be tough to have them refer me for another job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like, what am I gonna do with my life? What am I gonna do? So that really drove me to like get take study myself of like the stock market, reading investment books, personal life books, and just improving my life in general. But yeah, I don't regret it, but obviously there's a few things I could have done. Just real Oh, I was so dumb in college. Oh my gosh. I
We
could
all
have done
were. I think that
yeah.
that's kind of what it is. I don't think college has become for me, or at least in my opinion, less so for academia, but more so, you know, a place for, you know, young people are there to kind of experience or experiment and experience and kind of find themselves. You know,
Mhm.
it's yeah, aside from like hanging out with people your age and like trying to figure out what you're doing, because everyone's all kind of on that track. It's less been for the academics that, than it is for that. You're kind of just there to figure yourself out, and that's what I think, at least. But
Exactly. Like, there's
yeah.
just a lot of like social stigma and social pressure to put people into college to get, a 4-year degree and find a like nice paying job where you can work until you're 65 and and then retire and oh yeah, so
Yeah, but the
there
military, that's interesting. So,
uh,
but you'd only join the military because of the financial benefits that you would get outside once you finish.
I think yeah, so it'd be financial, it'd be physical benefits because they'd obviously be training you and obviously you got to stay in tip top shape and yeah, just kind of being able to experience the world, travel around the world, experience something new, find some camaraderie, just, experience something different, explore the world, see how things are not at home, just kind of
Hmm.
like by yourself, learn a lot about yourself. I think
Yeah,
I kind of miss that aspect or would like that aspect of
yeah,
it.
that's interesting. I think my father also they tried to recommend the military to me, and for me, I didn't even look into it. I was like immediately no. I was just
That's
like,
exactly the same way with me.
your
Yeah,
dad
like
asked you
I
too?
was like, um, he, it was always like an option. Like he asked me like, oh, like like what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna go to college or I'm like, or you gonna go to the military? I'm like, I don't know. Like the military, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna throw my life away just like because I think during that time were we on bad terms with was it Iraq or Iran and like something with the leader and I'm like,
Post
you're gonna get
college
shipped
or post high
yeah,
school?
post high school, right? And like you're gonna like go over and like die or something like, yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
that
going
was
to the
like around
military.
the Arab Spring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm just like it never really crossed my mind, but just kind of seeing like the benefits of it and kind of like how I could work my way into it and I don't know. Yeah. I think that'd be like an option because the benefits are really I think good in that aspect.
yeah,
And it would just make me, I think, going to college at a later time more appreciative of education and really like spending the time to learn and study like what I want. And obviously, the paid college tuition would be really nice too.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Uh, I don't know if I would. I think if it were me, I might have just continued doing what I am doing.
Hmm.
Although it does seem like an attractive option financially speaking, I I don't know because it would because the experiences of the military would be different. It could be different depending on where you go and what branch. Like, if you were to think about it, would you have a choice branch that you would go join?
Not really, no.
You just be whatever. Just take me.
I, yeah, yeah, I haven't really thought about it. It hasn't crossed my mind, but probably nowhere overseas because I get seasickness.
Yeah. So no
So maybe
navy.
not Navy, not Marines. Maybe I was thinking National Guard or uh, is it the Air Force?
Air Force.
Yeah,
Army.
I forgot. Yeah,
That's okay. It's okay. But now
yeah.
you have a new option: Space Force.
Space Force. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, have you seen that show on Netflix?
I they had that recent, not on Netflix, but the recent launch, right?
I think SpaceX had a launch. Yes, but,
Oh,
but I think Trump wanted a new government, like a military branch called the Space Force.
oh,
I think that's what he called it. But they wanted a new branch for specifically space. Um, and I think that might have spun out the idea for Space Force on Netflix, and I think it was very interesting, because I was just like potentially, there could be a whole bunch of other like political. It's a whole new territory, there's other countries trying to get out to space, and it's not just Elon Musk that wants to go to Mars. I think at this point, other people want to get out into space instead of their own space stations and build landings on like the moon and Mars and stuff. And it could, it really set the tone for what political conversations could be out in space. But yeah, you don't want to forget the Space Force, Andy. You could join the Space Force.
Always an option.
Yes. But yeah, so then now I guess I guess we want to move on from looking back. I kind of want to look forward again. And over these next few months, I think there might be a lot of in my opinion, there might be a lot of volatility in the market. A lot of people are saying that there's gonna be a crash. There's gonna be a crash, like this whole entire year. Like they've been saying crash, and especially now with the market seems like all-time highs are being hit with not just cryptocurrency, but with like just generally. I think the market is it recovered really fast. It seems, financially speaking, it was a V-shaped recovery, like the stock markets and everything. But Wall Street had a V-shaped recovery while Main Street had a K-shaped recovery. I think if you looked at the K like sideways like this, so like K, like some people are going straight, some people went up but then back down.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. And it does seem like a lot of businesses have been closing down, and it doesn't seem like they're ever going to come back. And it just seems to be getting worse, with no stimulus. But then you have people like you and me. With the stimulus money we're getting, we're not spending it on local businesses. We're dumping it in the stock market because we want more money.
Yes.
Yes.
So I kind of what people are is like they're kind of like panic holding, like they don't know like what's gonna happen with the economy. So you do have a good point. Like people are holding it, they're stockpiling it because they don't know like if there's gonna be like the COVID vaccine. Obviously, if it's gonna be 100% functional, if it's working, are we gonna be able to open our economy 100% back up and get back into business? So you're right. There's gonna be a lot of volatility within these next, maybe I'm gonna say next year actually too. So it will be interesting. But my plan for that is just basically to keep holding. Businesses, they're obviously going to fight for the consumer's business. Most people that are like in a financial or in a not so good financial situation, that stimulus is going to help them out with like the basic necessities of like food, shelter, internet, just all their bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the stimulus isn't really just for the economy, just to boost back the economy to spend. It's more like just essentials living. So yeah, the economy is definitely going to take a hit. But, like I was watching a video on Kevin O'Leary, one of the Shark Tank investors, and he kind of explained it how like, like the government shouldn't really like be backing businesses, businesses that can adjust and that can like change within this pandemic, that like, oh, maybe they're going online more, then maybe they're like finding different revenues of like to sell stream, like they might be selling masks, sanitizers, stuff like that. So we shouldn't really be like backing those businesses, we should be backing the people. And I really like that, really stuck with me, because like yes, like businesses, they're gonna die. The ones that can't change, the ones like bowling alleys and theaters where their revenue is like, you have to go there and enjoy the stuff, they're gonna go down the economy for that. So, but businesses that can adjust, hey, we know we're gonna start doing like a lot more online retailing. Chipotle does free delivery, which is cool and awesome. Like I've never would think Chipotle would ever do free delivery. That's amazing. So businesses that can adjust to like online orders, online sales, any like retail that can like do online fittings or like better size guides, they're the ones that are gonna survive, and we gotta like back those people up to like, because we're gonna have a new normal. I don't think we're gonna go back to our normal. People are gonna like find this new normal, and they're gonna see like just with COVID, like, hey, like maybe online shopping's normal, or we're not. I don't think we're gonna see the old normal of like bowling alleys, like everyone's sticking their three fingers in a bowling ball again, or yeah. I don't know where I was going on with that. What was the
No, no,
question?
no, no worries. You answered it excellently, brilliantly. That was exactly it. It was just that I think, with the new normal, I don't think I think it will with the vaccine. I think people are hopeful that things will go return to some semblance of what it used to be, but I do agree. With this year, it ushered in a new age where like everyone now is forced. Even older people, who aren't usually technically savvy, how like they're now forced to learn how to use things online and be in the online space because now you're forced to because there's nothing else to do, right? I'm at home. I have nothing else to do. I want to watch something. Netflix, right? Or Hulu or HBO Max. Oh, HBO Max. And, and HBO Max has now made a deal with Warner and then all the movies are going on there. Okay, I want to online shop. Amazon blew up, bro. Amazon sales has now through the roof, especially even through like for Christmas, right? Deliveries aren't being made on time because there's so much of it, right?
Something interesting, like I have a thought that I just want to like pass through before I forget it. But like in the new stimulus bill that they proposed, I was kind of reading on it, and it said they would help people get access to internet because they deemed the internet essential. And that, was really interesting because like if you think back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, is it essential? So like and I really don't think so. People have lived without internet their whole lives. Most older generations are stubborn in their aspect of like, I'm gonna do what I'm comfortable with. I don't need the internet to live, yada yada. But these new normals, yeah, like I forgot whoever proposed it in the stimulus. They're like, every American household needs internet. And I was like, oh, that's super interesting. That's just like kind of looking back at it. I'm like, we really are having new normals. Like everyone needs access to internet, and they're gonna help people. I think, I guess lower income slash people that don't have access help waive $50 a month for their internet bill. And I'm like, oh, we are entering new normals. Everyone needs internet.
Yeah. I definitely do agree. And not just internet. I think like high speed internet. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
100 megabits down minimum, something like that.
And I'm
Yeah. And it has been changing. And I think, especially with the older, more traditional people that didn't always need it or have it, they're starting to realize now too, they can't do a lot of things without it, especially in this, the way are doing things now. You know what I mean? Yes, you can go still get groceries, but a lot of people have transitioned to ordering food. Chipotle now does it for free. Online menu and online and app ordering stuff is now easier than ever because we were forced to do it. You know what I mean? And now that's changed the whole entire field for everybody else going forward. It's like, how invested are you to doing things online? You know what I mean? If you're going to try to start a business today and you do not have a way for people to find you online or to do business with you online, you're done. You're dead in the water, bro. But I also think for you and people like you and me, we've also been like disproportionately like predispositioned to be able to adapt. Like, as long as I've known, Andy, you and I, we've been ready and we've been living most of our lives online, on a computer at home, even though we lived at one point like 2 minutes away from each other. Like I could jog over to your house in like 120 seconds. But you know what I mean? But even though we chose to be online and hang out with everybody because it was always a guaranteed meeting place that we could always at least speak to each other online. And now with internet, right, I could stream video like this and we could meet like this even though we're thousands of miles away.
yeah, and that just attributes to the fact that like just how like these companies are like doing all this like adjusting, like online ordering, like mobile order pickup. It's just like amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone needs internet.
Everybody does need internet. So now I think there's more pressure on the system to like uh, figure this out for the rest of America, because there are still a lot of people even within this country that doesn't have access to internet, or at least high speed internet. And
Right,
I'm
right.
hoping that bill does pull in, so do some work, and makes changes for the good, right, instead of just profiting from anyways, but that's a different topic. But yeah, I think I'm very optimistic still about the future. Hopefully, after we get this year, I think it's really exposed. It's letting us people take behind a look behind the curtain, like what's really going on, and they realized how many holes in our systems are there, and now people are realizing it, and they're going to start to try to start patching it up.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. But anywho, I think this would be a good place to end. I don't want to take up any more of your time, Andy. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast. What do you got going on? Is there anything you want to plug before we go, or anything you want to let the people know?
No, I don't think so. I don't got anything to plug. I'm not really on social media or active on it, and it takes like 3 calls to get to me. But yeah, yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the time that we talked about and be able to reconnect with you. I'm glad, you're doing well and you're taking this venue, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andy, for coming on, and I'd love to have you back on. And next time we could talk more about our investing, and we could kind of take I guess, a closer look on where we've gone since this podcast.
Yeah, like maybe like a half year recap and see. Yeah, that'd
Yeah, I
be
think that'd be
fun.
dope.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, Andy.
All right, bye.
Bye.